If you think I'm too old for this fight, you need to come tell me in my face.
Whoa.
It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah,
20 and
I think that's
40.
what I'd heard. You know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight.
Mike Tyson just let something slip on Joe Rogan's podcast that's equal parts hilarious and embarrassing. You know that wild rumor about a scripted fight that had everyone talking? Well, it turns out it wasn't just a rumor. In classic Tyson fashion, he got a little too fired up and accidentally spilled the beans, essentially confirming what fans had dreaded all along: the match was a total sham.
Listen, understand, it was a big nostalgia hit. It got our attention. It was a big financial promotion for everybody, and it actually worked. Now, the fight was absolutely terrible, and it feels like Paul was holding back his punches. At times, Mike Tyson was holding back punches.
Yes, the legend himself admitted it, and let's just say the backlash from fans and fellow boxers hasn't exactly been subtle. For anyone who grew up watching Tyson dominate the ring, this revelation felt like a gut punch of a completely different kind. The once unstoppable force was now serving as a stark reminder that even legends can stumble, that even giants can fall. But isn't that what makes Tyson all the more relatable? How many of us have faced moments where our own limitations came crashing down on us? How many of us have wrestled with the ticking clock, our own self-doubt, and the pressure of a world that seems to be watching, waiting for us to fail?
Truly, me
When
too.
I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like, people don't understand what a champ he was. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world, he was an executioner.
Tyson admitted that the uphill battle wasn't just physical, it was deeply emotional. After nearly 2 decades away from professional fighting, stepping back into the ring was more than just a challenge. I had 8 blood transfusions, he revealed, shaking his head as the weight of his words settled into the room. For a moment, the bravado that defined him faded, replaced by something unexpected: vulnerability. The once invincible Iron Mike was stripped of his armor, exposing the toll his journey had taken. It was a rare glimpse of the man behind the myth, laying bare the sacrifices that came with being a legend.
Bro, your head is so big.
It didn't hurt. Like, he didn't really land anything.
No, because your head is,
Like,
I just
even
tell you,
the
you
one
can
he
just take
landed-
impact like crazy.
Even the one he landed, I saw it coming and I went like this.
When asked about Jake Paul's performance, Tyson offered some surprising praise. He acknowledged Paul's talent and dedication, admitting that the YouTuber turned boxer wasn't just a social media personality cashing in on a gimmick. "The kid can fight," Tyson said, but while his words seemed sincere, some listeners couldn't help but sense a subtle hint of sarcasm in his tone. And as you might expect, experts have been quick to weigh in with their own opinions, and the responses have been nothing short of polarizing.
You've just beaten up a fucking 58-year-old. What am I going to do? Give you credit because you didn't do it that badly? Like, it's not really that honourable, but I was pleased that Mike Tyson seen the fucking final bell, because just for his own manly pride, you know what I mean? To just say, yeah, I fucking stayed in there with him. I didn't go down.
And then came the inevitable question. Was the fight scripted? Is this all just a show? See how hard Mike punches, skeptics argued. Everyone thinks Mike is just playing around, like Jake Paul is Mike's personal punching bag. At first, Tyson was quick to dismiss the rumors, calling the speculation nonsense. He claimed the viral audio clip of Paul allegedly saying, "I got your money," was completely blown out of proportion. But for many, his denial wasn't enough. The fight's lackluster pace and Tyson's uncharacteristic hesitancy to unleash his signature uppercut only added fuel to the fire. Critics claim the match felt more like a choreographed spectacle than a genuine battle in the ring. Even Tyson's most loyal supporters couldn't help but notice the glaring inconsistencies in his normally ferocious fighting style.
Is this rigged or not rigged? See how hard Mike punches? Everyone thinks that Mike is like toying with him, like Jake Paul is Mike's prison bitch.
At first, Joe Rogan didn't shy away from the tough questions. pressing Tyson on whether he truly believed Jake Paul was the real deal or just a master of marketing.
So to answer your question, 100% this was fixed. They sat it out and talked about it. It went to decision because that was a neutral way to end it, and it went the full 8 rounds to keep people entertained. They didn't want it to end quickly. 100% it was fixed. It was smart on them, a big money grab.
Tyson, ever the pragmatist, admitted that Jake Paul's ability to sell a fight was undeniable. That's half the battle these days, he remarked, pointing out how boxing has evolved into a blend of showmanship and skill. But even as he praised Paul's promotional savvy, Tyson couldn't fully shake the doubts lingering around the match. For every compliment he offered, there was an undercurrent of self-awareness, a subtle acknowledgement of how the spectacle might reflect on his own storied legacy.
And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face instantaneously.
Yeah.
He had absolutely lost the fight long before Mike had ever gotten in the ring.
For fans of the once dominant champion, watching Tyson struggle in the ring was a tough pill to swallow. His movements were slower, his punches lacked their signature ferocity, and his energy felt noticeably diminished. The performance served as a stark reminder that time spares no one, not even Iron Mike. It left many questioning why he agreed to the fight in the first place. Was it a final hurrah, a financial necessity, or simply the irresistible allure of the spotlight one last time? Whatever the reason, the outcome was a sobering reality check. But the backlash didn't stop with Tyson. Jake Paul, too, found himself under fire, facing criticism from fans and experts alike.
You know, Shannon, you're Super Bowl champion. You know what I'm saying? We've been covering sports. I've been covering sports for 30 years. It's one thing for an exhibition here, there, whatever. But you can't continue to be allowed to build a career without getting into the ring with fighters. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, I think the Mexican monster himself, David Benavidez, I might be wrong, but I think it was him. He said, I'll fight him. Now, this is a man that fights at 168, Molly. Jake Paul was in the ring at 228.
Analysts accused Jake Paul of holding back, suggesting he could have ended the fight if he truly wanted to. The leaked audio clip only added fuel to the fire, with some interpreting it as undeniable proof that the bout was nothing more than a cash grab. Social media exploded, with hashtags like scripted fight trending as fans dissected every second of the match. While Paul's supporters argued that his rising star was breathing fresh energy into boxing, purists saw it as a blatant betrayal of the sport's integrity.
Like, he was walking with a cane just like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but he was really out
He
of
had
shape.
bad sciatica.
Bad sciatica.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, real bad. You know, it wasn't that long ago that he was, you know, I mean, when I first met him, he was very, very heavy. He was not working out at all, and I asked him, how come you don't work out? He goes, I don't want to ignite my ego.
The fight's conclusion, punctuated by Jake Paul awkwardly bowing to Tyson in a gesture of respect, left a sour taste in many mouths. The crowd's boos echoed a shared disappointment. This wasn't the Mike Tyson they remembered. The man who once struck fear into his opponents now seemed like a shadow of his former self. Evan Tyson admitted that losing in front of a packed stadium was a humbling experience. Yet, he remained defiant, insisting that simply stepping into the ring was a victory in its own right. For all the controversy, one thing was clear: the fight was as much about entertainment as it was about boxing. Tyson's willingness to participate in such a spectacle raised broader questions about the future of the sport. As crossover bouts and celebrity matches continue to dominate, the line between authentic competition and staged drama grows ever blurrier. For Tyson, this fight was a gamble, a chance to reclaim a piece of his legacy, even if it meant facing the harsh glare of public scrutiny.
No, listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying he was in the ring at 228, and you got a cat 60 pounds lighter than him saying, I'll fight you. You know why? Because what they're saying is, when you gonna fight real box?
Tyson revealed more about himself than anyone could have anticipated, leaving Joe Rogan nodding along, half amused, half bewildered, as Tyson unraveled a strange mix of wisdom, self-reflection, and sheer absurdity. First up, Tyson's not-so-secret secret: psychedelics. And we're not talking a casual dabble. Tyson dives deep into the world of mushrooms. "I take enough mushrooms to kill an elephant," he casually admitted, as if it were a typical topic for Coffee Chat Rogan, known for his own love of altered states, seemed intrigued but also a little cautious. Tyson, however, was unfazed. He launched into an impassioned monologue about how these mind-bending trips help him connect with the universe, even allowing him to see God in colors. You can just picture Rogan trying to keep a straight face while processing that one.
I mean, you don't get no kudos about, oh, he's 58. No, that's not what this is. This was not some a celebrity. This was not for some charity. No. We're gonna do this. And Jake Paul, they asked Jake Paul, did he take his foot off the gas? Stephen A, this is what he said. Yeah, definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Then came the life advice. Tyson dropped nuggets of wisdom like a Zen guru, if Zen gurus were built like tanks and had a lisp. He declared that love isn't about control, but about surrender. Is the same Mike Tyson who once owned pet tigers and had a history of very public chaos. Yet here he is, speaking about emotional vulnerability like a love-sick poet Rogan, doing his best to take Tyson seriously and threw in his usual "that's deep" commentary, though it was hard to tell if he was genuinely buying it or just being polite. But Tyson didn't stop there. Oh no, he peeled back layers of his past like a man who'd finally decided that brutal honesty was his brand.
He was jacked and in shape, and he looked super intense.
Yeah.
And he was just like ready to go, and it was terrifying. It was like, and Jamie.
Wait, when was this?
A few years ago. 4 years ago? 4 years ago?
He reflected on his younger self. "Wild, reckless, and utterly self-destructive. I was my own worst enemy," he admitted, as if that wasn't painfully obvious to anyone who had followed his career. Tyson painted a vivid picture of his younger days, fueled by money, fame, and a complete lack of restraint. According to him, all that chaos was just part of being young, because of course every young adult blows through millions, owns pet tigers, and throws extravagant parties, right? Totally relatable.
Had to be alive and be a kid during the time where he was the champion to understand what he was. Because there was, after Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes was a great fighter, but no one liked him because he beat up Muhammad Ali.
Then came the existential bombshells. Tyson veered into territory that even had Rogan scratching his head. "Legacy doesn't matter," Tyson declared. "We're all going to be forgotten." This from a man whose name is practically synonymous with boxing. The idea that Tyson, the legend, the icon, could dismiss legacy as easily as tossing away an old pair of gloves was equal parts profound and absurd. He followed it up by saying he'd made peace with death and even found it beautiful. Rogan, perhaps unsure if this was a cry for help or just another classic Tysonism, nodded along like a therapist trying not to spook his patient. But Tyson wasn't done. He dove into fear, how it once ruled his life and how he's since learned to conquer it. For a man who spent decades terrifying his opponents, the irony wasn't lost. Tyson explained that fear is an illusion, something we create in our minds. Deep stuff, sure, but coming from a guy famous for biting someone's ear off, it was hard to ignore the irony. What made the episode so memorable wasn't just Tyson's revelations, but the way he delivered them. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Whether he was talking about his psychedelic adventures, his turbulent past, or his thoughts on mortality, Tyson spoke with a bluntness that was both refreshing and jarring. He owned his flaws, embraced his contradictions, and laid bare the journey that had brought him to this strange, reflective phase of his life.